Hello there, it's Chime from weeklyburger.com. So, I have been contemplating on the best way to start my next episode on this podcast, and I figured the best way to start this podcast, especially the second episode, is to start from the basic foundation of all that makes us independent adults, and that is moving out of your parents' house. Why is this important? Well, this is very important because I believe for every working class adult out there, it's the first major decision that sets us up for either success or failure. It's a decision that comes with a mentality shift, right? Because when you're ready to move out of your parents' house, you are ready to tackle on the challenges of the day, to create your own story, to inject meaning into your life by establishing your life purpose. And it all starts with that decision to leave your parents' nest. Would you agree? I agree. 11 years ago, I moved to the States from 7,000 miles away, where I barely knew anybody. And it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. Because thinking about it now, it contributed to my growth immensely. And I sincerely believe that if I hadn't left the nest, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. That's a fact. Now, I think that this is a great way to start the second episode of this podcast because in the United States of America right now, we have millions of young adults that just finished high school or that are in college who are going to be leaving their parents' nest, to establish their own home and find their own way in life. And I believe this episode will help you know if you're ready to make such a decision. And if you're ready to make such a decision, it will help you follow steps that will make the transition from your parents' nest out into the world to your own place where you're going to establish your abode and never come into moving with your parents. Because let's talk about it. There's a pride that comes with moving out of your parents' house or your guardian's house. There's a pride that comes with it. And once you move out, the pride tends to keep you out. What do I mean by this? I mean that once you've made a decision to leave your parents' house or your guardian's house and to go find your own piece of the American pie or go establish your own ideal dream, you don't want to come back home to live again, right? This is why before you embark on this decision, I want you to sit down and take a few things into account to see if you're mentally ready for this. Because remember, my dear friend, if you're moving out of your parents' house, you want a situation where when you move, you're out. Then the only time you're coming back is going to be if you're coming back to visit your parents, to spend Thanksgiving, Christmas, or the independence celebration with them, right? And at least that's the way I am encouraging you to go about it. I know that at the peak of COVID or during COVID, some of us who are working class adults lost their jobs and had no choice but to move back in. But this is a rare case. Majority of all working class adults, were still able to keep on going, and I applaud you for that. Now, what do I mean that you need to sit down and think about some factors to decide if you're really ready to move out of your parents' house? Well, this is what I want you to take into account before you make this decision, my fellow working class adult. I want you to ask yourself whether you have a job. And if you have a job, whether that job is able to pay rent. And when I mean rent, I'm talking about the city you are in right now in the United States. The lowest of the rent you could find, whether your job is able to pay the rent and you still have enough left to feed yourself or take care of other bills like the light bills or phone bills. If the question is yes, I think you're good. Ask yourself if you have savings in your bank account. Now, this doesn't have to be $10,000. It could be a few $1,000s. For me, personally, I would recommend at least $2,000. If you have that, that's good. I want you to look into your credit history. If you have a credit history, do you have one? If you have one, that is good. Now, look into your credit score. Is your credit score above 650? If it's above 650, that's a very good thing. Because we'll be talking about the reasons later in this episode. And if you got 3 out of 3 correct, you're ready to move out of your parents' house. If you got 2 correct, which out of those 2, having a job is one of them, you are ready to move out of your parents' house. If you only got 1 correct, and that one you got correct is you have a job right now, you are ready to move out of your parents' house. If the other 2, like say, you have savings and you have good credit history, but you don't have a job, I wouldn't recommend moving out of your parents' house. If you have good credit history, you don't have savings or a job, that won't help you anyway because you need to pay your rent, right? So I wouldn't recommend moving out of your parents' house. Now, having talked about these things that you need to consider, now let me talk about what you need to know before you move out of your parents' house and how you're going to go about it. Well, first thing first, you're going to need a job. What kind of job do you need? You're going to need a job that pay at least $15 an hour. And don't tell me there are no jobs like that. I have lived here for 11 years. If you listen to my first episode, I told you a story about where I started. I started with cleaning toilets in my city's downtown at a convention center. And now, I'm doing I have a very good job right now. I'm a certified surgical tech and a job that pays very well that I actually enjoy doing because of the emotional satisfaction it brings to me. Now, why do I want you to start with a job that pays $15 an hour? Well, given the current inflation rate, I want you to be able to keep up with your expenses, right? What kind of job pays at least $15 an hour? Well, most warehouse jobs will pay you $15 an hour. I'm talking about Amazon warehouse jobs. I'm talking about Walmart warehouse jobs. I'm talking about Sam's Club, HEB, you name them. They're out there. They will pay you at least $15 an hour. But if you are to ask me, I would say try to strike for $18 an hour. Yes, you can get a job like that, at least here in Texas, working for HEB, Walmart, Sam's Club. So many of them out there. And for you to find this kind of job, I want you to go on something called Indeed.com. It's spelled as INDEEDI. Excuse me. I'm sorry. What am I saying? It's INDEED.com. Indeed. INDEED.com. Go to Indeed.com and put in your zip code and select the wage rate you're looking for. And you'll find a whole barrage of jobs that meet that wage requirement. And apply for them. Now, on your interview day, I want you to dress professionally. if you don't have a suit, that's fine. What I want you to wear is I want you to wear khaki trousers or pants. It could be black or brown. Do not go in with shorts. Do not go in wearing jeans. Most employers have issues with that. I know it doesn't make sense, but such is the workings of an adult world, right? And wear your khaki business pants and a business shirt. If you have long sleeve, that's okay. You could tuck it in. If you have a short sleeve one, but a business one, the ones that have the collar on them, that could work too. Black shoes will take care of business. You want to wear something that is very comfortable. At the same time, something that is business casual. That is, if you don't want to go strictly business. That would be good. Now, the next thing you need to work on is your resume. Now, I'm assuming that if you're trying to move out of your parents' house, you probably don't have much work experience. And if you do, that's even better. You're going to go to Microsoft Word, and I want you to go to the search bar on Microsoft Word, and I want you to type resume samples. And once you type resume samples on Microsoft Word is going to show you samples of resume. All you have to do is just click on one and go and then edit it. Edit and then put in the things that you want to put in, which is going to include where you went to school and your previous work experience. At the very top of it is going to be your name, followed by your contact information, which could be your email address or your phone number. And then your previous education, if you have your GED or your senior school leaving certificate, put it there. At the last bottom of the resume, I will suggest put skills that you may have. If you are bilingual, put it down there. If you know how to use computers, especially some of these softwares like PowerPoint, Microsoft Word, Excel, put it in there. It's a very good skill to show off. If you could type 300 words in a minute, put it in there. It's a very good skill to show off. If you have any job experience, then on the previous work experience, put in the jobs you've done previously, and the start date and the end date. Now, I want to tell you something about the resume. Now, when you're writing your resume, I want you to be very sincere. I don't want you to make up things. And the reason being that your potential employer is going to go do their own background checks on those. And if you lie about it, they're going to find out. And when they find out, that's going to make you somebody that cannot be trusted. And nobody wants to hire someone that lies on the resume. Because that tells everybody a lot about your character, right? So be sure to be very honest on your resume. If you're straight from high school and you don't have any experience, it's okay. This is what I want you to do on your resume. You see those things you do in school? For instance, if you ran the local newspaper while you were in high school, put it there. It's a skill. If you are the captain of the football, put it in there. It's a skill. If you won any award as a result of something that you did, if you did community service, volunteer work, put it in there. So when you get there and during the interview and you're being asked questions, I want you to take your time. I want you to hype yourself up before you even walk in there. You are the man or the woman. You get what I mean? You're he, you're she. This job is meant for you. Go in there with the intention of working out with that job offer. And go in there with the mindset that if you get this job, fine. If you don't get it, fine. But I don't want you to come across as arrogant. The reason why I'm telling you this is if you're working in there with this mentality, you are going to be more relaxed. You know what I mean? And if you're in a relaxed state, you're going to be able to answer the questions that they're going to throw at you. And in any situation that requires you to reply to questions, I want you to take your time, I want you to be calm, and I want you to speak slowly. If you speak fast, you're going to be very nervous. If you're nervous, you're going to jumble your words. And that's what I don't want you to do. Do you understand me? I do not want you to be so anxious that you're jumbling your words. That's why I want you to speak slowly, and if you need to take a breath, you could tell the interviewer, "Hey, I'm a little bit anxious. Can we go more slowly?" You're an adult. You're allowed to voice your concerns. You're allowed to request accommodations. And if the interviewer is someone that is reasonable, they're going to work with you. Most of them are reasonable because they want you to come work for them, right? So this is what I want you to, how I want you to go about the interview. Now that we have taken care of that and you've gotten the job, the next thing I want you to do before you move out of your parents' house is I want you to save for 6 months. First thing first, I want you to sit your parents down or your guardian or whoever it is that you're living with and negotiate with them. Tell them what your purpose is in terms of getting the job and the savings and what you intend to accomplish. For instance, this is what you're going to do. You're going to sit your mom and dad down and you're going to tell them, "Hey, mom, hey, dad, I'm going to be moving out in 6-7 months. And I would really like to save for 6 months. If you guys still want me to contribute to the bills, may I please just do the light bills so that I can be able to save and get out of your hair." Most reasonable parents would want that for their child, right? Because they want you to go out there and start your own life. And they will be willing to work with you. And the reason why you're offering to contribute to the bills is in case if your parent is just one person, everything is not falling on her or on him, right? And you're going to still be able to contribute to the bills, but in a way that will still allow you to save. Now, how much are you going to save within these 6 months that I want you to save for? I want you to save at least a minimum of $2,000. If you could save more, $4,000 is fine. And what is the reason behind you saving for 6 months before you move out of your parents' house? Well, the reason is, first thing first, you're moving out for the first time and you don't know what the world is out there. If you go out there and then you find your own place and suddenly you lose your job, I don't want you to be homeless. I don't want you even moving back into your parents' house. I want you to keep going. And that's where these savings will come into play. Why? Because if you have about $4,000 and you rent a place that pays about $700 a month, with $4,000, you are going to be able to have at least 3 months break until you're able to find another job, right? Say if you move in this month and you lost your job the same month that you move in, that $4,000 could get you by. It can get you by for 3 months. And I know within 3 months you're going to be able to get another job. That's why I want you saving at least $2,000 to $4,000, and I would prefer $4,000. I'm not going to lie to you because it's a big security blanket right there. While you're saving for 6 months, another thing I want you to work on is your credit history. Now, why is this very important? Your credit history is very important in the sense that most apartment places that rent their apartments to you are going to look into your credit history. And the reason why they're looking into your credit history is not to see whether you're rich or poor. No. The reason why they're doing that is because they want to make sure that the person they're renting the apartment space to is someone that is able to be consistent in paying their monthly bills. Now, they don't want to come in every month and knock on your door and say, "Hey, where is my rent?" Because there are some adults out there that do that. They pay rent very late, and you have to wrestle them to actually get your rent out of them. And for most apartment complexes or businesses, it's a headache. Nobody wants to deal with that nonsense, right? So what they do is they go through your credit history, and if they see that you're the kind of person that borrows credit cards, and mass out your credit card. By massing out your credit card, I mean like spend all the money on your credit card and have difficulty paying it back. They're gonna think twice about renting that apartment space to you. They will think twice about it. And even if they succeeded in renting that apartment complex to you or apartment space to you, they want you to put down a huge security deposit just in case if you mess up and don't want to pay your rent, they can just deduct that security deposit and use that to cover the rent. But mostly they won't even rent that space to you because they don't want to go they don't want to deal with it, basically, is what I'm talking about. Because I don't know if you've heard about the nightmare stories where some people move in, some adults will move into an apartment, and for them to pay rent is a big problem. And then apartment complex, and these adults are going back and fro, and it ends up going in court, and it's a whole lot of mess. An apartment complex don't want you to be one of those people, right? Apartment complexes want you to come in, and if you sign a lease saying you're going to make bills on the 28th of every month, they want to have their money. And that is why they're doing a credit check on you. And for them to do the credit check, they're going to look into your credit history. And I wrote some articles on building credit. I will attach them to this episode. You can go to my website and read them, and it will help you in a very big way. But anyways, your credit history is compiled by something called a credit bureau. In the United States, we have 3 credit bureaus. You have the TransUnion, you have the Equifax, and you have one more that I can't think about right now. But what these bureaus do is, when you borrow money and you pay it back on a timely manner, whichever financial institution that you borrow money from will report to this bureau telling them, hey, listen, Mr. John or Miss Jennifer borrowed money from us and paid it back at a timely manner. And then the bureaus will be like, oh, okay. And then they will start compiling file on you. And on compiling files on you, they are rating your ability to pay back loans or debt. And they will assign number on those ratings. And that is what is called a credit score, right? And you want your credit score to be in good standing. So this is how you're going to build credit history if you don't have any credit history at all. Since it's very important, because apartment complexes uses them to justify renting an apartment space to you. You're going to go to your bank and you're going to tell them you need a beginner's credit card. And you're going to tell them you need one where you can put down a security deposit, and the security deposit that you're going to put down is going to be tied to the credit card. What do I mean by this? So you're going to go to your bank, for instance, maybe a credit union, and you tell them, hey, I have $300 here. I want you to tie whatever beginner's credit card you're going to give me to this amount in such a way that I cannot spend more than this amount that I'm giving you. And they'll be like, okay, we will do that for you. Some credit unions will do that for you, and some banks will work with you on that aspect too. And this is what I want you to do. Once you're given the credit card, within those 6 months that you're going to be saving, I want you every now and then, to pay for something. And once you buy something with that credit card, try to pay it back before the due date. Buy something, pay back the loan. Buy something, pay back the loan. Buy something, pay back the loan. And by doing so, you have a history of spending and paying back the money on the credit card, even though you already have a security deposit. Now, the reason why you have that security deposit is in case you don't pay back the amount of expenditures that you did on the credit card, the bank will use that security deposit to cover the expense. But you don't want the bank doing that, because the bank is also going to report that to the credit bureau, right? That's why if for instance you take your credit card to at the gas station, you put gas in your car for $50, and you're supposed to pay back the $50 on the 18th of that month, make sure you pay the money back on the 18th of that month. Because if you do that at the end of the month, your bank is going to look at that and be like, okay. And then they will tell the credit bureau, They will report to the credit bureau. Then the credit bureau will go and compile a file on your credit history, saying, okay, well, you borrowed this and you paid it back. Therefore, we're gonna give you a point, and that point is gonna help raise your credit score. And that's what you're gonna do for 6 months until you're able to bring your credit score to a good standing. Now, I'm going to attach articles that I wrote about credit scores and credit history, so you can read them and see the difference between the two. I elaborated more on my articles, and I want you to check them out. Okay, now that you're building your credit history, on the 4th month, because I remember I told you to do this for 6 months, right? While you're saving and while you're working. On the 4th month, I want you to search for something called free apartment locators service. These are companies that won't charge you a penny to help you find an apartment that you want to go in. These companies are usually in every city, in every major American city. This is how they make their money. They make their money when you move into the apartment complex that they find for you, and they get a commission out of it. But they won't charge you a penny for that. And, you will tell them the amount that you're willing to pay monthly for the apartment, and you tell them the kind of apartment that you're going for. And they have a database that have a list of the apartments in your city. And they will call you and ask, hey, when are you free? And you tell them, and they will take you there. Sometimes they even drive you to that place, which is very beautiful. At least the ones in San Antonio, they do that for you. I don't know about your city, but I'm sure they have something like that in your city too. So on the 4th month, I want you to go to one of these apartment locator services. And, tell them the kind of apartment you're looking for. Now, that brings me to another question. What kind of apartment are you looking for, my dear listener? Well, as someone that is starting out, as someone that is moving out of your parents' home, if you're single and you don't have kids, my dear friend, and I'm going to say this and I'm going to yell it out loud, you need a studio. What did I say? You need a what? A studio. You have no business having a 2-bedroom apartment. You have no business renting a house. You have no business going for luxury apartments. You need the cheapest apartments out there. That's what you're going to go for. This is especially if you don't have a college degree or skills that make you a lot of money. If you're making less than $50,000 a year from the job that you have, there's no reason whatsoever why you should go for an apartment that pays more than, or that takes away from your paycheck more than 50% of your paycheck. If your apartment complex costs more than 50% of your monthly paycheck, and you're about to move out of your parents' house, and this is your first job, and you're making less than $50,000, it's not a good idea, my friend. I will not recommend it. Why wouldn't I recommend that to you? Firstly, you are starting out. You want a situation whereby your apartment fees or your monthly rent is going to be around, at most, 40% of your total monthly paycheck. So you can be able to pay your apartment rent, pay your light bills, be able to feed yourself, and still have some money to save, just in case if there is a rainy day. You can be able to handle your business without moving back into your parents' home. I've always said this, and this is a big issue that we have in the United States today, whereby when adults, young adults or young working class adults, when they move out of their parents' houses, they usually go for the most luxurious, most expensive apartments they could get. And you see them paying all this money. At the end of the year, they don't have a single cent in their bank account. And that doesn't make sense. My dear listener, let me be honest with you. You and I want a situation whereby we're growing year by year, right? If we're making the decision to move out of our parents' house, We want to, the moment we step outside of our parents' houses, right, and we have our own place, and we are slowly but consistently working on the goals we've set for ourselves, we want every year to be different. What do I mean by this? Every year we look into our bank account, we want something different. And how are we going to do that if our rent is more than 50% of our monthly income? If we're making $40,000 a year, that's what we bring home, for instance, after tax. And rent only has taken about $25,000 out of that. How does that even make? Are we working now to establish our dreams, or are we just working to pay rent? Do you understand what I'm trying to say to you? And it also depends on the city you live. Like if you're someone that lives in California, which is crazy expensive, and you're not making much, then perhaps it's time to move to a cheap city. I'm sorry. I mean, I have to say it. I have to say it. Now, if you're okay living there and, most of your money is going into rent and all that, and you're comfortable with it, and you wake up very early in the morning and you don't complain about it, and you go about your day not complaining about it, and that's what you want after you leave your parents' nest, that's fine. But if you're going to be whining about it, nobody wants to hear that from you. Do you understand what I mean? And that is why it's imperative that if you're starting out and you just move out of your parents' house, you want to go for the cheap apartments. And here are the consign. I've talked to some fellow young adults, especially like when I was in college, and when we talk about these things, they'll be like, "Oh, well, the cheap apartments are in the poor side of town." No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Let me tell you something. Where I live currently, I will tell you how much I'm paying for rent, and the amount, the percentage of my rent, like annually, what my rent constitute as a percentage in my overall income. Right now, I'm paying $829 for a one-bedroom apartment that has a living room, a kitchen, a master bedroom, closet, restroom. Everything is in here that I need. It's clean. And it's on the good side of town. Right? And my rent compared to my income, I'm sorry, I spoke bad English. Compared to my income is less than 15%. Now, it took me a while to get here, to be able to shift, to have that mentality where I'm like, I don't need a luxury apartment to feel good about myself. I would rather have a lot of money in my bank account, in my savings, than living in a luxury apartment. And if something is to happen to me right now and I'm out of work for 6 months, I don't want a situation whereby I'm running around trying so hard not to be homeless, and I would have no choice but to move all my things back home, 7,000 miles. Yeah, I don't want that. And I know you don't want that too. And for people that are trying to move out of their parents' house, this, I believe, has always been an issue, in the sense that, I'm sure you think about these things. Okay, what if you move out of your parents' house and suddenly you lose your job? What then? Well, if you do the things I said, get a job, save for 6 months, work on your credit, and the apartment you're going to go for is a studio, I think you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Go for a studio for now, at least until you're able to acquire skills that will pay you more to afford the kind of apartment that you want. Let me tell you something. You see your peers. There's this, before I even talk about your peers, there's this thing that we usually do as young adults, especially in your 20s, whereby if you don't know yourself very well, you always measure yourself with your peers. You'll be looking at John, or you'll be looking at Jennifer. You'll be like, oh, Jennifer has a very nice car. Or John has a very good apartment. That's what I strive for. I'm going to work for that. Now, let me tell you something. There's nothing wrong with that. However, if the decisions you make for yourself, especially your long-term decisions, is based on what other people are doing, you won't make it far. Go and write it down somewhere. You will not make it far. So if you're starting out, I want you to go for a studio. If you could get a 1-bedroom that is very affordable, that is still less than 40% of your overall monthly income, that is still good. If you can't get it, stick with the studio. At least until you finish college, or you get a skill, or you get a better paying job, whereby your total rent and the expenses are going to be, especially your rent or your expenses related to your apartment, is going to be less than 40% of your monthly income. And using an apartment locator service is going to go a long, long way, because then you don't have to have that stress of going to each apartment complex to go and see if they're going to be able to meet the standards that you want. You can tell those things to the apartment locators, and they will find you the kind of place that you want. These are the things that I want you to think about as you're preparing to move out of your parents' house, right? First thing first, the amount that you need to have before you move out, at least $2,000 for $4,000. I would prefer you to have $4,000. I think 6 months is enough to be able to save that amount, especially if you're saving about $1,000 a month. You should be able to save up to that. Even if you're saving $800 a month, you should be able to reach that by 6 months. Especially if you have negotiated with your guardian or your parents, and you're telling them what you need to do, and they're working with you. There's no reason why you shouldn't have $4,000 by 6 months. You get what I mean? Especially if you're making at least $15 an hour, which is what I recommend for you. Yeah. Now, you have used an apartment locator service at your 4th month, because remember I told you to start doing this at the 4th month, right? And the apartment, obviously, if you go in there and you see it and you like it and it's a very safe place, they're going to want you to make a security deposit so they can hold that apartment for you. If you have the security deposit, which you've been saving, pay it down. I believe by the 4th month now, your credit, you should have some semblance of a credit score. And if you're starting out, they will understand too, and they will ask for a security deposit. Just put down the security deposit. And now, these are the questions I want you to ask before you even move into any apartment. When you're moving into an apartment, I want you to ask them for any hidden fees. Ask, hey, do you guys have any hidden fees? When you come to pick out my trash, are you going to charge me for the trash? The water shared? Because the water bill sometimes is shared amongst the apartment spaces in there. What about the bills? And these are the things you have to be looking for. Okay, and the reason why I'm asking you this is they may end up telling you that your apartment rent is about $750, right? And in addition to that, there may be other hidden fees. They will be charging you monthly maintenance fee. And on top of that, they're charging you monthly trash fees. They will be charging you monthly sewage fees. All these stupid fees that you don't know where they're coming from. It's going to start popping up. Before you know what is going on, that's $750 monthly rent that you have. We end up being about $850 something. Why am I telling you this? I'm telling you from experience. It has happened to me before. So whenever I go to get an apartment now, I make sure that they specifically list every single one of their monthly fees to me and give me a paper that shows me all that. So that way when I go home, I will see what my expected rent is. And even if it's going to change, it's probably going to change plus or minus, $10 to $15. That's what I want you to do. Yeah, before you even move in. Listen, my dear friend, I think you're going to actually enjoy moving out of your parents' house as long as you do all these things that, I tell you. The reason being that having your own place brings a kind of joy and pride, because once you start, you just want to keep going. Because now that you've had your own place, you are now an independent working class adult, right? You got your own place. Whenever you go to see your parents, they will no longer treat you as a child, right? They will treat you as a fellow adult. Because remember, if you live with your parents and you're an adult of working class age and legal adult, you always be their child in the sense that you're always their boy or their girl. There will be a certain way they talk to you, and you too, your level of self-expression is quite limited because you're living under their roof. So there's some certain things you can do and you can do. But when you have your place, now you have a right to speak your mind, right? And there's parents always feel a joy when they come, when they go to visit, their adult children and they're doing well. And especially when the adult children, come to see them from wherever they live, there's this joy and anticipation, and especially if you already live, if you've left the house and you're doing well for yourself, they like that, and it makes them happy, and it makes you happy too, because now you have a space. At the end of the day, you come back to your own place, and it's a place to think, strategize, and having your own space to breathe in and do whatever the hell you want feels good. And that is what you're going to have to find out. And, once you get that apartment and you move in, the hustle doesn't stop there. You have to continuously improve yourself, first thing to keep ahead of inflation and keep saving money so that when the rainy days come by, you'll be able to be sheltered, right? I feel like this is what I wanted to talk to you about in this episode because I feel like it's very important. I know that in our society right now, especially the Western society, the United States of America, the American culture, we no longer celebrate adult children leaving their parents' nest. I feel like it's something that is worth celebrating. When a young adult decides to move out of their parents' house, I think there's a celebration that should accompany it. That should accompany the leaving of the young adult to go establish his own ideal dream and life. Because it's a very big step. It's something that requires someone to be brave. Because remember, once you're out there, you're making the decisions now for yourself. You are still going to have your family members, your friends and all that, but it's just you now driving your own bus, right? If you're driving your own bus or car now, you're in charge. And it's a very big step towards financial independence because there's a mentality shift that comes out of it. You're no longer dependent on the parents. On a parent or your parents. Yeah, you are now the captain of your own soul and master of your own ship. You steer your ship wherever you want it to go. And I think following these things will prepare you towards making that decision to move. Now, what is a good age to move out of your parents' house? I think it depends. I would like to tell you that it's going to be 18 years old, immediately you turn into an adult, but it's not. Let's be realistic here. If you just finished high school at the age of 18 or 19 and you don't have a job, I feel like for one whole year or so, you're staying in high school mentality. And what is this high school mentality? High school mentality is daddy, mommy are always going to be there for you, right? That's why I wanted you to go out there and start working and start saving money and start working on your credit history. So that way you're slowly beginning to shift from, oh, mommy and daddy are always going to be there to, I got myself. I can do this. And that's what I want you to be able to do, shift that mentality towards living under the roof of your parents and solely depending on them to slowly establishing some level of independency on your own side. Because that's all you're going to need being out there in this world. Because let me tell you the truth. The world is a brutal place. It's beautiful. It has some beautiful aspects, but at the same time, it's a very brutal place. What do I mean by brutal? I don't mean to scare you. I'm not gonna scare you. What I'm trying to tell you is things are gonna happen. Once you leave the comfort of your parents' nest, you're going to meet people that have different backgrounds from you, different life perspectives from you, different cultural beliefs from you. You're going to meet kind people, you're going to meet wicked people, you're going to meet nice people, you're going to meet rough people, you're going to meet people that may share the same value systems as you, and people that may not share the same value system as you. And you have to learn how to deal with them, right? From the comfort of your parents' home, you don't know how to deal with them. You may have been exposed to them, but you may not know how to deal with some of these people until you start living on your own. You have to learn how to deal with when your shower is broken. You have to call in the office and tell them to come fix it. Or when the heater is not working and it's cold, you have to call them and tell them that you need them to come in and fix it. Because if they don't fix it, you're going to have a problem, right? All these things are something that your mom and your dad will not do for you. It's not left to you, right? You're going to learn how to go and set up your own mailing address so that all your mails are going to be forwarded to you. You will learn how to file your own taxes. Why? Because your mom and your dad are no longer there. So these are the things that I'm telling you that you are going to encounter once you leave your parents' nest or home. Because now you're going to see life for what it is. You're going to start seeing the realities of life that your parents shielded you from. And you're going to be exposed to them. So if you're going to be exposed to these life challenges, which I think, by the way, are going to make you a very strong person and help build your character and make you who you're going to be, you might as well be very prepared for it. And following the things that I listed here for you in terms of having a job, setting up a very good credit history, and saving your money, or having some money saved before you move out, are going to set you on the right path of it. Now, if you don't know what you want to be now, it's okay. I can tell you there are some 40 years old people out there, 50s, that don't even know what their life is all about. But I believe you making this step to leave your parents' abode and establishing your own, and you doing it the right way, is going to set you up for success. Not just success only, set you on the right path to meet some life challenges that you're going to conquer, that will make you strong, that will help you develop into someone that you're going to look at one day and be like, oh yeah, I am he, or I am she. Yeah. So I'm very happy for you. I'm very excited for you. And I really hope that, it goes well with you. And if you have any question, we attach my mailing address. Not my mailing address. What the hell am I saying? My email address on this episode. You can send me an email that has to do with this thing that I talked about today. Or you could just go to my website and go to contact me form and fill it out, and I will answer your question. I believe this is a good place for me to leave this topic and this episode. And thank you very much for listening to me. I remain yours faithfully, Mr. Chime. And I surely hope you have a good journey. Wishing you the best of luck. Goodbye.